What is up, Copper Dan?
Hello, and welcome to the Copper Factory. I am Copper Dan. This is my very astute colleague, Mr. Packerjack.
Reporting for duty, sir. I'm just glad you made it home after your
Oh my
travails
goodness,
today.
what a day! Today was the day you. I it doesn't. I'm usually got pretty good luck with flying and flights. I fly quite a bit, but today was not that day. Today was the day of what a mess. Get on the plane, pull away, de-ice, sit for an hour, pull back, unload the plane, get delayed 3 times, get back on the plane, sit there because there's nobody to push us back, finally get someone to push us back, take half an hour for whatever reason to de-ice, and then finally we hit the air. I was supposed to be home. I should have been like literally home by 11. I didn't get home till like 5. So
Man, that's crazy.
the good part though is I'm home. So thank you, Delta, for getting me home. It wasn't their fault. The weather is the weather.
Weather's the weather. Let's say hello to Susie, Treasure Warriors, Carrie Galloway, Cal Lasers, Cal Lazars,
The odious soul. I think I know that person.
K-Pro, Chasing Indy, JK Pioneer,
Sophie D, the little engine that could. Dark.
Yeah. Tyler's in the house. No new episode tonight, I think, for Oak Island. Well, that's going to make me feel better if that's the case. I didn't even know that. We should have known that, Ben. Is that true? Ben's going to figure that out and let us know.
Hey, Luby.
Dark, Forest Frenzy. Let's go for a walk.
Kiwi.
Holy cow. David Crump.
Forest Frenzy.
Steve Klein. Everybody's here. Barry Casey.
Wow.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining us.
The Treasure Warriors are here.
Well, we got an action-packed show, right? Because we had a great show last week getting into some of the illustrations, and thanks to Gallatin Ghost and Nelica. And Dan, I know you had another great conversation with Gallatin after the show.
It was really nice. This what was it, Thursday? Not Thursday, because Thursday I flew into Philly. So Friday night, I got back to my hotel room early enough, and I messaged Gallatin. I said, do you want to go live so we can, or not live, do you want to go Zoom so we can chat? And she said sure. And man, it was like 2 a.m. when I got done. It was like we just, it was one of those, I got, you know what, Gallatin, I got to go to bed. And then we get up on another tangent, and another hour would go by, and another hour would go by. But it was really interesting, fascinating stuff. I took notes. John was able to, I think, put it into a nice professional PowerPoint, not like the Copper Dan PowerPoints. These are top notch, A+.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but thanks for setting it up that way. So you're spending time with Gallatin Ghost, a female searcher, and then you're meeting someone in Philadelphia.
Shannon, I don't know. I got 25 years of marriage, and I'm a loyal, faithful puppy. I always come whining home. However, my wife does point out the fact that I have a lot of girl/friends.
Yeah, it was great to see the pictures that Shannon posted of you guys having a nice dinner together and hanging out, and that you got a chance.
Yeah, we went to you would think on a Sunday night in Philly you could go wherever you want, but no, man, everything like reservations, and you couldn't get in. And so we literally just drove down to Chinatown, which is actually, we walked. It's just a short walk from the convention center. Somebody parked their car someplace and met me, and then we walked. Wow. And we had wonderful conversation, good company. The food was good. And then we said our goodbyes. And about 3 minutes later, I got a Facebook phone call, and I'm like, yes. And she's like, my car got towed. I'm like, okay, I'm coming. I turn around thinking I have to go help. But Shannon has been on her own her whole life. So she was like, don't worry about Copper Dan. I got it. So I'm like, are you sure? You probably like anything you need. So I kind of felt like, I'm usually the person that has to help, but I just turned around and went to my hotel. And next thing I know, she had she had fixed her issues. She had gotten herself a hotel room and met up with another couple that also got their car towed from the same lots.
Wow.
Apparently, this was a lot with one of those signs that said Monday through Saturday with the parking, but there was nothing about Sunday. And in Baltimore, as well as I agreed with her on this. If it doesn't say anything about that day, it's usually free, and you can just park there. And apparently, that was not the case. And she couldn't get her car out. She talked to a police officer. He said, "No, you're pretty much SOL till tomorrow morning." And so she got herself a hotel room. So she put a little thing out like about getting to meet Copper Dan being priceless. And hotel room $200, getting your car towed $200, meeting Copper Dan priceless. I'm like, oh,
that's awesome. Well, you met someone else when you flew out east, and I believe that his name was Jack, and we do a little thing on this show. What's it called, Copper Dan?
It's called You Don't Know Jack, but I do.
All right. You don't know Jack. It is the Chase's #1 game show because it's the only game show. We don't dox anybody. This is all stuff that's out there that you can find. Some of it's obscure, some of it's not. And tonight we're only doing 3 questions because we actually have a couple other PowerPoints that we're going to get through. So, and I'm not even going to play the Jeopardy music in between. We're going to go through it pretty quickly. So.
We took last week off from this, and man, the outpouring of hate that we got. Like, you have to have the game show. Oh, yeah. Maybe that was just me that said that. I don't know. Anyways, it's back.
All right, Copper Dan, question #1 is yours.
Copper Dan, in 2012, Jack wrote an Ask Google article for the cut that was titled, "How do I defeat my crippling fear of blank?" What was the name of the fear at the end of the title question?
Treasure Ware says elevators. That's incorrect. So let's do. How do I defeat my crippling fear of what? And we're about 20 seconds ahead of you guys on the stream, so we have to slow down.
Yeah.
Just relax.
Just relax.
K-Pro says fake blazes. Incorrect.
Forrest Frenzy
That's a great answer, though.
Frenzy said peekaboo.
Oh. Let's
Brady
go to
Brown
the
said
answer.
peekaboo.
It's peekaboo, and there you can see the actual article. How do I defeat my crippling fear of peekaboo by Jack Stoof. All right, let's continue. Question #2. Jack also wrote an Ask Google article for the cut that was titled "Guy Won't Stop Reenacting Blank. How to Make Him Stop." What was the movie being reenacted in the title that needs to be stopped? Guy won't stop reenacting blank. How do I make him stop? I think if somebody found peekaboo, they probably are going to find this right away too. Treasure Warriors.
Thank you, Rudy Green.
Bears, no. I think Packer Jack's something to do with tea. Guy won't stop reenacting what? Davio says being naked. That is incorrect, Davio.
He said naked.
Naked. Forrest Frenzy looked it up. Forrest Frenzy got it. Here it is. Guy won't stop reenacting breakfast at Tiffany's. How to make him stop. I think that would be annoying. Question #3. You're not going to be able to look it up online. Copper Dan, this one's all yours.
All right. When I met Jack at the airport, he told me exactly where the chest was located. Just kidding. He signed a few things for me. One was a framed map that helped us raise a bunch of money for kids with cancer. There was one item I offered to Jack to sign, but he declined. What was that item that Jack declined to sign and why? Two-part question.
It is a two-part question. Treasure Warriors all over it right before. What was the reason of Forced Frenzy? So it is the book TTOTC. Why did he say he wouldn't sign the book? Yeah, Ben, TTOTC, everybody's saying that. But now we need part 2. Why wouldn't he sign it? Forest Frenzy gets it.
Because he wasn't the author. Ding, 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 ding.
All right. That was a quick lightning round of You Don't Know Jack, because we got a lot to get in an hour. Thanks for playing You Don't Know Jack. Tune in next week for another riveting episode. Also, we'll change it up from time to time with live guests like Jack. We're going to invite him every week, whether he shows up or not. And may ask some you don't know questions about others. We've done that about Ben Napple. We've done it about Cynthia. We may do it about someone like Davio or Dale or anybody else who starts with D. But the bottom line is we call this show what it is, this game show, because Copper Dan knows Jack. But what, Copper Dan?
You don't know Jack.
Now, I have to say, all questions were answered. We took a little grief for the difficulty in previous episodes, so we wanted to have a lightning round tonight. Thank everybody for participating. And that was a fun episode, quick episode.
That is fun. Jack. I like doing that. That's kind of, I just hope we don't run out of questions. And if we do, Jack, got to answer
Dan,
some more
what did you title tonight's episode on YouTube?
I don't remember exactly, but it's basically Teachers with Ropes, the illustration.
All right, let's go to PowerPoint 2, and you're going to have to stop me because I actually have more PowerPoints for other PowerPoints. So I call this Mountains with Ropes, Teachers with Ropes. We showed the illustration last week, and we talked about the teacher with Madison and Halt and talking about Madison Canyon. And a lot of people have said, well, the rope is the river. And I mentioned to that, I said, no, the rope is actually the line of the mountains that you can see on a good map or Google Earth. And we kind of left it there and went into something else. And I actually got a couple of questions from people too on that. So I wanted to explain where I was at, and then also some things that Dan talked with Gallatin about and that Dan and I talked about in regards to this. Now, neither Dan and I are coming on here to say we believe 100% that the solve is 9 Mile or anything like that. I do believe as more comes out that Madison Canyon, a fishing solve with Yellowstone, seems to make more sense. But again, I'm not here to sell anything, Dan, and I don't think you've said you 100% think it's
no. But I really think it's neat going down the rabbit hole of the illustrations, and that they did actually hold hints, and they were involved very much, in my opinion, were involved in the solution, is a neat way to design a treasure hunt. And it actually starts to pull pieces of the puzzle together, in my opinion.
Right, so let's take a look at this. This was a true north. So obviously the mountain line is much steeper in true north. But when you actually tilt it and look at it and you see how the line goes, it caught my attention to match it up with the actual rope from Teachers with Ropes. And we'll also talk about Harlequin Lake, which is the lake on the north side of the river as well too. But here is the Teachers with Ropes, and I've highlighted the mountain just to kind of show the shape of the Teachers with Ropes from the hand where, one would say she's saying halt, to how this actually flows through. And we're going to talk about a couple things on this. And Dan, stop me when you want to say anything as well too. But
I got one. Yeah. I just got one thing to touch on what one thing Gallatin and I talked about. Can you go back to that other slide?
Sure.
Thank you. So you're teacher, and you got 1, 2, 3, the fourth kid from the left. Isn't that kind of odd? I never really noticed this. So how the rope comes really steep down, and he's grabbing it. He appears to be grabbing it with his left hand, and then the rope goes behind him, and he's then holding it with his right.
Right, and the reason why is you want there to be another upturn with the rope there.
Yes,
exactly. And I'll explain that as we go forward. So that's a great point. So again, just looking at it, you can see Madison Canyon all the way up to 7 Mile at the top. You can see 9 Mile way up there. This line is obviously nowhere close to 9 Mile if you look at it from this direction. But again, taking a look at this and then taking a look at, so this is one thing that I didn't mention. Somebody said, does it say WY in the windshield for Wyoming? There's definitely potentially a Y there. I don't know about the W. Yeah, but just wanted to show that as a side note to anybody who looked at that and thought that it said WY in it. So the next thing before we kind of look at the kids again is just Harlequin Lake and the picture of the man in the car who's the driver. And others have talked about this. This is nothing new. I know Indy and I have talked about this before and talked about it with other people with Harlequin Lake. But what's really interesting is when you actually crop out that head and you put it next to Harlequin Lake, which is in obviously Madison Canyon, it really is a striking similarity to the way that the top of the hat tilts down a little like it does in Harlequin Lake, how the left side brim of the cap is more rounded and it's more pointy on the right side on Harlequin Lake, how there's a little bit of a jag down and a squaring off at the bottom with which looks like two horizontal lines, almost like Frankenstein bolts that come out at the bottom of the neck, but would go all the way across. And there's the two lines at the bottom of the drawing. It's a pretty darn close match. It's pretty impressive. And I just did a little bit of research on Harlequin Lake and found on YellowstoneNationalPark.com, Hiking Madison, it says Harlequin Lake was known as a secret lake during the late 1940s and 50s because of its secluded location near the road. At that time, trumpeter swans were frequent nesters at the lake, but in 1958, the lake was named after the colorful duck. On the north edge is a beaver lodge, and elks frequent this lake early in the summer and fall as well, but the lake itself is considered barren of fish, which Forrest actually said that he would go there with his dad, and his dad would just take a nap because there weren't any fish there. Mm-hmm. It's between 4 and 11 feet deep, and most of the lake freezes during the winter. And there's a picture of it underneath, and I actually found another picture that says, here's a beaver lodge in Harlequin Lake near Madison Junction. Shows us the use of lodgepole pines for the beavers lodge there. So again, just interesting that if you're looking for hints in the book and you see Harlequin Lake, then now you see what I did. I actually was the freak this time who took the time to crop the teacher and the kids out and put them along the mountain line, and obviously put the head of Harlequin Lake next to Harlequin Lake. So you can actually see how the mountain line lines up with the rope in Teachers with Ropes. So I then tilted it to create a 90-degree angle. Crazily enough, if you have the kids located where they are in the book and draw a line underneath and do a 90-degree angle, guess where that 90-degree angle takes you on a straight line to? It literally takes you directly to Fen Rock, which is just insane. So I freaked out when I saw that.
There comes a point where you can't ignore this stuff. And I was talking with Gallatin about that. I realized that, to look at the teacher and come up with the words, the letters to spell out Madison, you do have to have an imagination as well as the rope. But when you overlay the kids with the rope, like you've done here, and it's literally, that is about as close as you can get.
Well, and again, this is my interpretation, and you can lay them out differently, but the shape is very similar. And when you add it all up together, let's start from the top. The man's head inside the sedan, Harlequin Lake, which is in Madison Canyon. You have halting warm water where the teachers start. You have the kids, and you have the end of the rope that where her wrist ends and the rope cuts off. If you do a 90-degree angle of that, it takes you directly into a straight line to Fen Rock in a 9 Mile Hole. Now, the other thing is you have 3 boys of different heights in there. They're all together, and they could be 3 brothers. The names of those mountains where there are those peaks is named 3 brothers. And on a good map, and even on Google Earth, if you go back to that mountain range, you'll see that it says 3 brothers there, and you have the 3 boys in the middle, peak, 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 mountain, 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 3 brothers. So Madison Junction, halting, 3 brothers, Harlequin Lake, dip in the mountain range, rope ends, 90-degree angle can take you there. Again, do I think this proves anything? I have no idea.
We're just throwing it out here. You guys can do what you want with it. You can agree, you can disagree. Can I add something to this?
I didn't. Somebody said I moved the man's head way up to match the lake. No. I just wanted to enlarge it and pull it out. I didn't want to put the word Harlequin Lake down there. So I wasn't actually doing any location of Harlequin Lake on here. I was just saying that somewhere on the other side of that rope is Harlequin Lake is basically all I'm saying. Again, this is the rope. I mean, if you wanted to be precise with it, isn't going to match up, 100% to it. But I think, again, it's a hint of look for 3 brothers, look for where warm water halts with the teacher holding up her hand, look for Harlequin Lake, look where the rope ends.
But it does,
all I'm saying.
to somewhat somewhat, it does line up with it. And then what if I may, what do you end with? You end with the girl that has been added. The original illustration did not have the flowers on her dress. The flowers were added, and we all know where the flowers also were added. They were added to the old biddy.
Right. So K-Pro, to answer your question, just behind where the teacher is Madison Junction, where the Warm Waters halts. And then you take the kids down the mountain range. You've got Harlequin Lake here, which the head matches in the sedan. And then if you take that 90-degree angle up, when you actually take that bottom line from Teachers with Ropes and goes up, you end up right in 9 Mile Hole. And it's actually where Fen Rock is, which I kind of freaked out when I saw that. Again, do I think it proves anything? I don't know, just sharing my imagination and what could be a possibility with so many people right now focusing on Madison Junction as where Warm Waters halt and Madison Canyon as the potential area.
Have you tried to overlay this right onto the river, onto Madison?
I did, and it doesn't match up well. You can make it match if you take really low angles, but to me, the three brothers being the mountain, or the three boys in the middle, to me, that meant more to me personally, with the mountain range, and how the mountain range matches so much more dramatically with the ropes than the actual river. I think you have to really kind of stretch them, and you'd have to move them out over a very vast period. And you'd probably have to put the end girl in the flower dress, really close to where you think the solve site is. So they'd have to be really, really spread out on there. Gallatin, really, really enlarged.
Gallatin brought up a good point, and something I had not caught onto before is so if you look up the word biddiful means meek. And so we have the last little girl here with the flowers on her dress that match up to the old biddy, and no place for biddies. And you just wonder if that really is no place, that's where you cross.
Now this cracked me up because you could read this a certain way. Jack says from Wolfgang and Jack Gets Mail 3. I guess I'm curious about something. Did you mirror any of the artwork in the book and overlay it on a map as part of your solve? Best of luck in your future endeavors. And he says, thanks, Wolfgang. No, I didn't. That's overcomplicating it. But remember, I came up with this without overlaying it. I just overlaid it for our purposes of trying to explain it to you after I'd mentioned it and what I meant by it. But I didn't have to actually overlay it to, in my mind, put that rope along the mountains and then come up with the three brothers and Harlequin.
And maybe it isn't meant to be overlaid, but maybe that's a great point you brought up about the three brothers, and just interpreting all the kids in there. And we know the one little girl is from you brought this up a couple episodes ago, the one little girl where he got her from. You remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes. From the walking. Yes, the African-American girl, and it matches the drawings. And we showed those on the last presentation, all of those.
Maybe if we did some research on her in particular, maybe there's a story with that. And it just.
Yeah, Davio was pretty astute on that one and commented a lot during our presentation on that. So if you go back and look at live chat from last week's show, but that was a good point. I mean, there's multiple of those illustrations for those of you that didn't see last week's show, where they're, from the Saturday Evening Post, traced. We could go back and look at that if we have time tonight, Dan. I don't want to rehash last week's show, but if we have time, we can look at it. But
no, that's fine.
But this to me is, I don't know how you can't say that there's a similarity to the man's head in the car in Harlequin Lake, that you can't potentially question these three young boys as the three brothers peaked mountain, where obviously someone is saying halt to a car and to stop there, and that this lines up with Madison Junction. Again, I'm not saying it's 9 Mile. I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to truly know 100% unless there's a video by Forrest or Jack shares that with us where we can all confirm it together. But I don't dislike this, is what I'm saying. It was fun to come up with it. Hey, doing this was fun. So the goal is not to tick anybody off with this stuff. It's just to share with you you know, where we're at with it and how we're looking at it. So that's that. I had some other stuff in here that's not, I suppose we could go over this stuff. I did, I
think we got time.
Yeah, I was looking at, you know, the stuff that Cynthia put out, and I know people were being critical, or, you know, how does she know with certainty or why? And I think I met Cynthia at World Series of Fen. I thought I just had a wonderful time interacting with her. She was very nice to me. We had some great conversations, and I take her for saying she's trying to provide information, and I do understand why some people are not happy about it, but I definitely give her the benefit of the doubt. And I'm very, very appreciative for all the knowledge I gained from her coming late to the chase and watching her videos and reading her blog, and then getting a chance to actually meet her. I know everybody's experience with different searchers is different, but I've got nothing negative to say. And I really appreciated having the opportunity to talk to someone who's been so involved with the chase, knew Forrest, and cared about Forrest a lot. You could tell that she cared about Forrest, and had a great time with her. You know, you take the Shannon Jack email with the rectangle, you take the Condor 2, if you believe it's Jack. I think most of us do. I understand that there's still some contrarians and people who don't, but the Condor 2 saying my stretch of the Madison. And then I look at Dale's comments on here. Again, I don't think this is proof of anything, but when you start taking these all in totality, and some of these things we just go back and revisit because we kind of forget about them. But, you know, Dale said he's always had a lawyer. Carl has been his lawyer forever. And he had Carl go through the possibilities. The question that I always think of when I hear the story is, if it wasn't on some sort of questionable property, why would he even ask lawyers? That means to me it was on some sort of questionable property. And what comes to mind immediately is Yellowstone Park. Dale's opinion only. But as someone who was, you know, intimately close to Forrest, I like hearing about Dale's opinion. I said, "Are you serious that I was within 100 yards?" Forrest wrote me back and he said, where all were you at? So I wrote it all out, and I think this is the one I gave Cynthia. So I wrote out all the places I had been. I believe what he said has, you have been within 100 yards of the chest. I have to tell you, that was a terrible cross to bear. It sounds like helpful information, but it was not helpful information because I had been in so many areas. It gave me one useful piece of information. That was, I did not have to look any place I had not been. I could throw out Denver. I could throw out the north part of Yellowstone National Park because I'd been up there. For one thing, Slough Creek, I've never been there, and that's not an area I ever mentioned to Forrest that I was at. Now, again, you have to believe that Forrest was being honest with Dale. And I give Forrest the benefit out of this case, but I could certainly wouldn't be surprised if it came out later that Dale had never been 100 yards from it. But what I thought was interesting was when Dale said, "I will say that almost all my searches were relocated to Ojo Caliente and Madison Junction, and then from Madison Junction all the way down to the lake." I think he's talking about Hebgen. But obviously a lot of that's in Montana, so it wouldn't count today. But a lot of the Madison is in Montana, so the only part that is in Wyoming would be in play today. That tells me that Dale is thinking Madison, Yellowstone, Madison Junction. And I just wanted to share that again, because again, none of this is ever going to prove anything 100%, but you know,
hey, can
Dale's
you back
saying,
up?
so the only part that is in Wyoming would be in play today.
Can you back up a slide or two? Go back to this one. So I hadn't realized when you did the overlay that you weren't actually overlaying the actual river, that you did the mountains. So what Gallatin and I had talked about is the back of the little girl here being, this is no place for the meek. The ribbon on the back of her represents the two creeks, the dry creek and the wet creek.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have talked about her dress. Are the two, I've had some people say that the two loops at the top are the double omegas that show that, wherever her hand is ending with the rope takes you to the end. But
one thing is for certain, can you stop screen share for 1 second?
Yeah, you bet.
This is there is no flowers on her.
No flowers and blacking out.
There's no flowers on her dress. There's obviously some other differences with blacking out on the books and shoes and stuff. But the biggest thing is the no flowers on the dress. So this being probably a draft not before the final draft. So those were added, and I believe they were added by Forrest on purpose to tie the chapters together.
Yeah.
So my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and Ben, I don't disagree. This is just conjecture tonight. I want to keep stating that. I know sometimes you have to say, in my opinion, after every sentence you say it, but I mean, this is just us having fun and going through this and leaving our minds open and saying, man, I really want to look at these illustrations again.
Absolutely. You don't have to agree with us. You can argue with us. I mean, please don't hate us. We're just throwing a theory out here, and it's not even really mine. It's, came from Gallatin. And I also know I need to talk to a few others that have reached out. So I just happen to possess some of the illustrations before the final version of them, so we can show differences. And that's it.
Dan, so I've got some more slides on this one, but we got a video from somebody. Do you have what I sent you? Are you able to pull that up?
The problem is I can't play sound.
Oh, well, let me see if I can find it in.
You want to do that tonight?
Yeah, we might as well.
All right.
Coming up.
It's kind of fun.
It's funny. Let me see if I can actually get it here, and because I can probably pull it from what I sent you. Maybe. I don't know. Huh.
Hey, Zozo, Jeremy Parnell, Diana W. Davio. What's up, Davio?
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. No wonder. I was like, where is it?
Hey, Steve Klein, Sophie D. I think I've said hi to some of these. I'm just trying to get everybody in here quick so no one feels left out. We got 80 people. That may be a new record. We're not the Cow Lasers channel. We're working towards it, though. All
right. Yeah, I pulled up. Some people were like, oh, you guys bought another Cameo, or it's Cameo. Well, of course it is. I mean, I don't know what the gotcha politics of that is. Dan and I don't have personal relationships with anybody on Oak Island. So, yeah, I guess if that's the game, then that's the game. But all right, let me see if I can pull this up and
hey, little engine. I'm doing good.
And get back to screen sharing. See if I can find this.
Beef Spaghetti is in the house. Here we go. Hey, I'd just like to say congratulations to Jana for finding the Trolls Fest.
Oh, I don't know if I can go back. Let me redo this. Can you see that, Dan?
Yeah, I can see it. I can hear it. I talked over it, so I'll try not to do that.
That's all right. Think about how many times I've talked over you.
You sound like you're like my wife.
It's Matty Blake from the Curse of Oak Island, drilling down and beyond Oak Island with a special message for two special treasure hunters, Copper Dan and Packer Jack. How are you, fellas? John reached out to me and said that you guys have a pretty special opportunity coming up here in March, a chance to metal detect with the metal detecting ninja himself, my mate from another state, Gary Drayton. And all I can tell you is two things. Get ready to dig a lot of plugs because, as you know, he's the best of the best. You'll be busy. And get ready to laugh because the one-liners will not stop. I've never met anyone in my life who's got more anecdotes, one-liners, puns. It's just going to be a magical day, I promise you. And you guys deserve it. You know, John was telling me you've raised over $30,000 for St. Jude's Kids with Cancer. I think that is just one of the most incredible causes out there. And you know what? I'm getting used to that with fans of the Curse of Oak Island. It seems like a lot of caring people that love this show because it's about faith and family, and you guys know that. So I officially dubbed the Acorns. Rick and Marty christened me to be able to do this. You are official Acorns. Copper Dan, Packer Jack, and John, get out there. Happy hunting. I wish you luck. I thank you for watching. And as always, keep the faith.
Awesome.
That's cool stuff, man.
He's a great guy. And I actually watched that episode of Beyond Oak Island when he went metal detecting with Gary, and he actually found part of a ship spike. I don't know if you saw that episode or not, Dan. But,
I didn't.
Yeah. And yeah, that's cool. So yeah, looking forward to being with him and not him.
That is coming up really soon. It is the 20. Hey, it's 2/22 of 2022 today, and that's my friend the Bobby Dazzler. Hey, we got a question from chat I would like to answer. Carrie Galloway says, Copper Dan, did Jack say Madison when you met him, or were you joking around when you said that? So if I was joking around, I do apologize. I think I know what you're talking about. Jack did ask me my solve, and one of them that I did talk about was on the Madison. And we did speak to No Place for the Meek being a crossing. He never said it was. I tried to get him, like, was it a river? He said, no, he did. He never confirmed Madison. He never even confirmed it was a river. He just kind of confirmed that No Place for the Meek was going to into some place that you wouldn't normally go. And again, that does kind of match up with going into the wood, which could potentially be across 9 Mile, or it could be a lot of different places.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no to Madison. I'm sorry. Yeah. I wish he would have.
Apollo said it's interesting how well the head shape fits the lake and rope traces on the map. Yeah, thanks, Apollo. I mean, again, I'm not trying to convince anybody that doesn't see it, but that head to Harlequin, if you match them up together, crop it yourself, take a look at it. Again, to me, would be a hint from an illustration in the book that could lead you to say the canyon is Madison Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
So I got one more well, we got 20 minutes. I've got one more PowerPoint I can do just to really tick off the people that hate 9 Mile, but it's not, it actually isn't about 9 Mile. It's about whether or not you care if it was hidden in 2009 or 2010, or when you think it was hidden. And Forrest said he was in Cody. How in the heck could he have in one afternoon hid the chest anywhere around West Yellowstone or Madison Junction? And so I actually have.
Well, you won't be the first. You won't be the first to do this, but I'm interested to see what your take is on it.
Yeah, and I'll see if I can actually find it here, because I've got. Let me just see if I go to. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Hang on a second.
And Chad, if you guys got questions, you throw the @ with the Copper Factory, and so I can see it, and I will try to answer them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to open that power. Oh, here it is.
Copper Factory and Packer Jack, have you ever dug a plug, or is just a beach hunt?
It's going to be both. I think we're going to, Maddie said plugs. And so I think we'll go into the water a little bit. And it all depends on, the best time to obviously do beach metal detecting on the Florida coast is after a hurricane,
which is in the fall.
Really whips everything up, which is in the fall. So, but Gary's at Oak Island doing Oak Island during that time of the year, and so he's not there. So we really only had a short window if we wanted to get an opportunity to meet him and do it. Ben is going with us. The Copper Princess, the Elegant Lady, Ashley, and we're hoping to have a great time.
Is your beautiful wife going to grace us with her presence?
She is. She actually watches The Curse of Oak Island, just like the Copper Princess does. So, all right. So,
Dan, well, I've got a list of 20 questions for her, because we're going to find out what makes Packer Jack tick.
Yeah, good luck with that. How could Forrest be in Cody, Wyoming, hide the chest at 9 Mile hole all in one afternoon? Again, this is just speculation on my part, but I thought it was fun to say, let's find out. And Dan, you know what that's a picture of, right? In the background.
I sure do. I've been there.
So these are some of the things that Forrest said that are surmised. These aren't his exact words, but I just wanted a bullet part. I hid the chest when I was on a trip to Cody. I don't want to say the exact year or time. Someone might look up rental car records. I hid it in an afternoon. I was back by, that was supposed to say dinner with Peggy. Again, this is some liberty on my part, but I think those of you that remember this will recall that. And I believe Cynthia even did a whole blog and a show on how that got her to search the eastern side from the east entrance into Yellowstone, thinking how would Forrest be able to drive there, hide it, and get back. So does it really matter when Forrest hit it or from where? You're not really, if you're only interested in when it was found and where it was located. But if you're interested in how he could have hit it closer to West Yellowstone, if it's actually true that he did it within an afternoon or, from lunchtime and got home for dinner from Cody to West Yellowstone, this was kind of the thought. So I said, it's obviously too far to drive, right? If you go straight across from the east entrance from Cody, just to get to Old Faithful is almost 3 hours, to get into Madison Junction over 3 hours, and obviously to West Yellowstone a little bit longer than that. You'd have to go there and back and be able to potentially make 2 trips to hide the chest, get back in your car, drive all the way back. And we're talking a minimum of 7 hours. If you actually went up and either went all the way around on the highways, which is 5 hours, it would take you over 10 hours just in drive time to do that back and forth. So again, the thought process of how could you drive a sedan, even if you rented one from Cody all the way over to close to West Yellowstone, how would that even be possible? I don't think it could be possible to do it. So here's, the thought process. And the thought process is, we've got a guy who's obviously a fighter pilot who loves to fly, talks about it, has the picture in Tea with Olga, talks about flying with Eric Sloan, talks about all those things. And to be in Cody and go to the Yellowstone Airport, or the Yellowstone Regional Airport in Cody, from where the Buffalo Bill Center and any hotels you'd be staying, or from most places in Cody, is less than 10 minutes. I actually mapped this out. So if you're staying close to where a lot of the hotels are, you'd literally have a 7-minute drive to get to Cody. Now that's the drive. You'd obviously have to get out of your car. You'd have to have the chest with you. You'd have to have a plane ready to go, be rented. You'd have to fill out your flight path. You'd have to fill out all the correct paperwork, do all the reporting that you would have to do, clarify your flight path, do all those things. 7 minutes to drive, let's say it's 10. Parking, loading the chest and backpacks, loading the plane, registering for a flight, boarding, pre-flight checks, ground clearance, your flight, all that, another 20 minutes to a half an hour. But the flight itself is literally 23 minutes in the air once you take off. You literally are looking out at Fishing Bridge 11 minutes after you take off from Cody. I think I posted it before in the past. There's a beautiful YouTube video if you want to see what the flight in a single engine plane is from Cody to West Yellowstone. And this is what I got the times from on it. And here's 21 minutes touching down into West Yellowstone. So literally, let's just say, even if there was a speed difference in a plane, 25 minutes, certainly less than a half an hour. So you could literally say flight time of half an hour, even when you're adding on all the time at the airport prior to taking off and after. So 30 minutes, let's just say, instead of 21 minutes, let's then add on taxi to plane, gather the chest belongings, transfer to a rental car at the West Yellowstone Airport, another 20 minutes. You can drive from the West Yellowstone Airport to the west entrance in Yellowstone in 7 minutes. Let's just say it's 10. We're assuming there aren't any buffalo or elk jams going on during that time, but 20 minutes, potentially max, let's say 25 total. You can even go a half an hour on this if you wanted to take a rental car from the West Yellowstone Airport to 9 Mile. You got to park, you got to gather, you got to put on waders potentially, you got to get ready and do all those things. Let's say 20 minutes. I don't think it would take that long to get across, but I just wanted to be really generous and say 30 minutes to get there, get across, find your spot. 20 minutes to get back to the car. Let's say 10 minutes to rest, pack up, another 30 minutes to cross, secret it, fashion the blaze, do whatever you need to do. And I laughed because you could get back to Cody. And this was a picture, some of you may remember it from Reddit, of Forrest actually being at a fashion show in Cody. Interestingly enough, though, people posted this on Reddit as being in 2010 and saying, look, see here, you see Forrest back in time for dinner and to go to the evening fashion show there. Well, I did a little sleuthing on that. They actually do 2 repeat shows. One's at 5:30 and one's at 7:30, but the picture is actually from 2008, not 2010. And there's actually a video of it that matches the photo. I also watched the two videos from 2009 and one from 2010 and a slideshow of over 100 photos from 2010. Forrest is nowhere to be seen at that Rendezvous Royale Cody New Style show. Now there were two. So Forrest could have been at the one that they didn't do the videotaping of, that is on YouTube.
Hacker Jack, the private investigator, PI.
Yeah, but here's the actual proof that that picture that people said was 2010 was posted here in 2009 of the 2008, September 2008. And this event happened in the middle of September every year. So that picture was actually not from 2010, it was from 2008. So you could discount all of this and say all of it's BS. I just wanted to show there's a factual way for Forrest, and it totals up to between 5.5 to 6.5 hours. If you left at 11 or noon, he certainly could be home, get back, flight, and be home by 6 o'clock for dinner with Peggy and Cody and have flown. And it could have actually been much quicker than that, but I really padded that time. I thought this was just art imitating life. Obviously, The Thrill of the Chase was published well before the Cody art show, but I thought it was funny. Here's Forrest looking up at a woman posing, and there he is as a kid underneath the wagon and looking at the gypsies dance, and he's got the same look looking up. Just my little tip of the cap to Forrest that reminded me of that. So again, who cares if he hit the chest in 2009 or 2010? We just really want to know where it was and if it was found by Jack and where it was actually found. But if you could prove that he flew from Cody to West Yellowstone in 2009 or 2010, if there were flight records, while this doesn't prove 9-mile holes, you could just as easily say 7-mile or Barnes Hole or Hebgen Lake or whatever you want to. It does prove that he could fly to West Yellowstone, have about a half hour to 40-minute or more, about an hour each way there and back after hiding the chest and everything, get back to the West Yellowstone airport, log back into the plane, fly back to Cody, do all the things that you need to do after you end your flight and get back in his car and get back. And he would have been able to do that from lunchtime to dinner time. I think it's my opinion that he was much more concerned about someone looking for a flight record, if you believe this, than a rental car record. And if you're going to look for a rental car record, I'd suggest looking at West Yellowstone and not just Cody during that time. I'm not going to do it. I just wanted to show that it was plausible and not necessarily that I believe it, but just that it would be actually plausible to be in Cody and in a half a day go in, hide a chest, if you are able to fly from Cody to West Yellowstone.
Packer Jack, Jay, Minnesota, also known as Jana, the finder of the Trolls Cache. I'm gonna get myself in trouble with that. Asks, what month and day were the fashion shows?
So obviously the date changes every year, but it's mid-September. I think that one was September 17th in 2008. So Jana, you would actually be able to do some research, not only from the dates that are on YouTube, but you could go back and just do searches for the name of that event, which really I think the easiest way is just to search for Cody New Style. It's Cody High Style. I apologize. Cody High Style Fashion Show, and it is at the Buffalo Bill Center.
And then Nomadic Madman asks, are you going live or are you taking video? Nomadic, John and I, the Copper Factory, can't go live with our phone yet. However, there's going to be a guy there named Ben Napple that probably will have the phone and can go live with his channel. But I'm sure we're going to do definitely going to do some video, and we will put something together for the Copper Factory. All right. Sorry, John, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I just wanted to get that in there. And again, I am not in any way saying this is a for sure thing. To me, it was just, I wanted to rule it out. Some people think Forrest was not being sincere about saying he did it in a half a day and he could have just driven all the way there and driven back. But
it is possible. I mean, definitely without using a plane, I think to come from Cody to 9 Mile probably didn't happen. Because is that 5 hours best case scenario?
I think for Cody to 9 Mile without any elk jams or buffalo jams or anything, you're talking probably 3.5 hours there and back each way. So
And that's
7 hours.
just, I mean, and not to have traffic or something is just a little bit not realistic. At least when I've always been there is if you're in there at 6 o'clock in the morning, yes, but
Yeah. So when we find out that this was actually hidden close to Thermopolis, we're all going to laugh and laugh and laugh. No, I'm kidding. But the teachers of ropes thing got to me, but there's things that have gotten to all of us, GPS solves and, Slough Creek, and the list just goes on and on and on. But I like the idea of Madison Junction and Madison Canyon. I can't say that I don't like it, because I do believe in two things, whether you're listening to Doug Preston say fishing buddies, or what Dale said, or what Cynthia's saying, or Shannon or others. Fishing is involved, and I believe Yellowstone is involved. Personally, that's my personal belief. I know there's people that still think it was Colorado, and there's people
flat
that
out tells us he's in love with he loved Yellowstone. And how can you, and he not only loved Yellowstone, but for those that were close to him knew he really had a love for the Madison.
Yeah. And try the wheel, right, Mike? Try the wheel.
Try the wheel, Michael. I do.
Yeah. All right. Moisturize says, I was there in September 2008. Traffic was way different then. Yeah, I've heard if you don't want to deal with the high tourism months, obviously after Labor Day is supposed to be a great time to go to Yellowstone. And you also are, you're dealing typically lower water levels, but that's not always the case. But obviously with the runoffs that start in spring, you're dealing with potentially higher water. Yeah.
I'm trying to get this there we go. Somebody, Randy Pischel asked to show the gypsies. Hey guys, a couple people have reached out. When am I going to release this? I've been gone, and now that I'm home, what I want to do is I got these to digital, and I want to get them organized, and then I want to get them out in a place where everyone can equally share them. And I'm going to do that. We're going to do that soon. I will have all my copies of the illustrations out soon. So then you guys can take them and do your own investigative work.
Yeah. And, there's still that question about, K-Pro brought it up, how is the GPS involved? I haven't watched Randy's Valentine Goose's I have to catch that. I'm going to probably do it tonight since Oak Island is in a new episode. But remember, I did a PowerPoint way back before I was doing any shows on right when the GPS or after the GPS solve came out, and said those notches in the trees weren't new. So when you get to the GPS location and there are those older notches, and at some point, maybe next week, Dan, I can pull that PowerPoint up real quick and just show it. And, even Ben listening to, Ben saying there's an oddity that those numbers, if you look at it that way, actually take you to Yellowstone. Now, as you know, Dan, confirmation bias and everything else can have you do a lot of things like we did with 3D Bronzes Tell Me Where, thinking that
Randy's telling me that in the grass under the fire, it says 110 degrees. And I think I see I see it. I've actually noticed that, and I've been trying to figure out if it was initials or what it was. So now that I kind of see that, but maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, the auction site is tied potentially to the GPS solved. If in fact we find out that the auction site somebody was trying to legitimately sell the chest. And we did a PowerPoint on that. That's I think I did that one with Ben Napple. So if we ever want to go over that one again, we can, but I had a blast with the Teachers with Ropes thing, and I'm really grateful that you got to spend that much time with Gallatin, and and that Nelica was able to share stuff with you, and now you're able to show it. And there's obviously something to the fact that someone took pen to paper and made some of those changes, Dan, that you've obviously looked at very closely at the copies you have, whether it's the boy's ear with the stripes on the shirt, all those things are interesting additions to those illustrations.
One thing I truly do believe is there is something to the illustrations. And if you, I know, actually, maybe K-Pro can help me with this. It was, help me with this, John. Who emailed Forrest about the illustrations? And his name is slipping my mind. Sean Dotson. Sean Dotson emailed, and Forrest apparently replied, no, there's nothing to the illustrations. I would like to know what exactly word for word was the question and word for word was the reply. And we all know Forrest was known to fib a little bit, not tell the whole truth. So I'd like to see what that was, because I am starting to strongly disagree and say there's stuff going on with these illustrations. Maybe not as much as we're making it to be, but there's something. There's a there.
Well, remember when Forrest was asked, is the blaze in the book? And he says, in a word, yes. Well, remember, if you zoom in on the illustration, Dan, that you did the mirroring with, you can read that word blaze. So in a word, the word blaze, if you believe that's what the word is, in the brim of the hat on the picture with the boy with the striped shirt, you could say there's the word blaze right there.
So you guys want to talk about mirroring. So these came with my stuff that I got from Nelica. And these are not from the Thrill of the Chase. These are from Too Far to Walk. But we got the little boy. Hang on, I got to change my screen so I can see what I am doing here. So we got the little boy fishing. And I got another piece of paper that he's mirrored on. I don't have a big enough screen to do it both on. But anyways, I have two copies. One is a mirror image of the other. So there is something to do with Forrest intentionally flipping things. Now, I haven't gone over the illustrations and Too Far to Walk. That could be a whole one crisis, one book at a time, but that'll probably be the next step, is to go over what I have with that.
Well, there's the picture of him by the tree with the pie, and I'm grabbing my book, and then if you look at the small picture of it up at the top, just like the Teachers with Ropes is the one without the flowers on the dress and the very small one at the top. And then but when he's by the tree with the pie, but you look at the small version of it, the pie is actually inverted. So, and I know people have mentioned that before, but
somebody put that, is it TP? Somebody was pointing that out today on one of the Facebook forums.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Cause it's very, very interesting that, some of those subtle changes were made, and some of it may just be artistic freedom and ability, but here's the picture with the boy by the tree. And if you look at the pie there, it looks like a pie that's full with a bulge on the top. And even if you zoom in really closely, it looks like the word M is at the base of it facing him. But then you go and you look at, the actual pie here, and it looks like it's inverted, or like he already ate it or whatever. But interesting enough, those, as you go out towards the edge and you have those striations around the edge of the pan, they're actually just flipped over. It's like he cropped that and just flipped it over on the small version at the beginning of that chapter. Pretty bizarre on why stuff like that was done.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Why was that done? And there's reasons, I think. So we are at our hour.
We did it.
We did it. I do want to just mention one thing we started this channel for. And I said when we started it is I didn't want it to be just another Forrest Fenn channel. And here we are. But I think we're going over some pretty interesting content. We're not just talking about drama or having arguments. I hope you guys enjoy it. But I do, a couple episodes ago, I did talk about a treasure hunt called Treasure Island by David Jacobson. I reached out to David, and David got back to me and said he is not currently interested at this time on coming on a live show, but he would be more than happy to answer some questions. So if you have been working on this hunt and you can think of some valid questions that maybe I could ask him, please reach out to me at copperdan17@gmail.com, and let's have a discussion so I can put together some questions. And next show, I would like to take a 10-minute time slot and get a little bit. We're going to do some more illustration stuff, but I want to get off of forest a little bit and always have a segment on our show that is dedicated to some of the smaller hunts.
Absolutely. And I just want to say thanks to everybody. You know, Dan's had his channel on for a while, and I think he was around 400 subscribers. And just since we started the Copper Factory, I think, Dan, you're up to 555, and we were.
I think the 555th subscriber was the one and only Ben Napple with the Treasure Warriors.
Nice.
So you got that going for you. 555.
Yeah. And as Dan and I said, we hope everybody's having fun with this. This isn't supposed to cause pain or consternation or chaos.
I mean, look at
embroidery.
I have not, well, besides a couple of trolls, I have not seen any timeouts have to happen. Of course, I'm not paying real close attention to chat, but I think for the most, everyone's getting along in here. Beefagetti says Copper Factory pre-register for the Great US Treasure Hunt is now. So everybody go, that's interested in that. Definitely. I'll go check it out.
Yeah. I saw Rudy posted that he retracted, so I won't. There he is. Great presentation. I don't think the illustrations were intentional hints, but it was fun to see what you put together. I appreciate that. I think the Harlequin head and
Thanks, Dan.
The Line of the Mountains, man, that turned me on, but I understand that everybody's, different about it. But
see, Gallatin overlaid hers over the Madison. So I would like to, I'm not done with this yet. I want to do some overlay work, but it may not overlay. The intent of it might not been a perfect overlay. It may be more of a subjective things where you got the three brothers that represents that. That was an interesting. And then you got the Biddy at the end, which also Biddy to be biddiful is no place for the meek. So that's where that brings you to where you're at in the poem. So
Janice says favorite numbers are 55 and 555. She must love Sammy Hagar's I Can't Drive 55, and that's probably where that started from.
Drive 55.
As the solo winner of the Trolls Cash, Jana.
And Laurel's in the room too with Beefagetti.
All right, guys, we're at 9:04.
For those of you that don't know, that's a little bit of an inside joke between us and the actual four finders of the Trolls Cash. So we're just having a little.
Speaking about catching up, I've got the Codex to read on the flight to Florida. I've got Xavier Marks and I've got Treasure Island. So we'll have a lot to talk about.
Did you see my picture when I landed in Philadelphia? I walked to get something to drink into a bookstore, and there on the books on the shelf
I saw was the
Codex. I'm like, it's a sign.
And I'm like, I gotta finally read it. I never read it, so I've got to read it. Yes, nomadic. I said the mountain range turned me on. You're absolutely correct.
Yes, Jeremy, I do. He's asking if anyone has the original illustration of the boys with marbles.
Now, K-Pro, what an evolution of character. For her to actually joke about finding something under a bench is fantastic. Well done. Well done.
Our little K-Pro is starting to grow up.
Fantastic. Thank you, Beefagetti, as one of the also critical participants of
masterminds
the team for the Trolls Cash.
Was there anybody else? I think it was Beefagetti and Jana. I don't know that there was anybody else. I think there was other people, but I don't know that they were involved. All right. I better stop throwing the digs. I'm going to get a phone call and an email.
Yeah.
Email all complaints to packerjack@gmail.com.
You can do an after show on how much you hate the presentation and the mountain range. And I know Dan, we talked a little bit right before the show went on. He wasn't singling anybody out, but I think we had like 19 people with wrenches. And so he just said, I'm going to limit it. And there wasn't any malice aforethought. So He and I didn't have time to talk about that, but I know Dan well enough to know that he wasn't singling anybody out. So
No, absolutely not. Please don't take it that way. If I took your wrench away, I may take a couple more away because I just don't need them. I know who I want to have them. I shouldn't even put it like that. Not that I don't want you to have them. I just don't, it's not going to be like everyone gets a wrench because nobody, if we don't need wrenches, then we just won't, you always need one because there's always a bot or something in here just
But
posting stupid
if
stuff.
you were soul crushed by it, let Dan know because he's a generous soul.
Again,
We'll
and
talk to him
you
about
can reach me at packerjack@gmail.com.
it. That's actually a Jack Stoof alias email. That doesn't go to me.
Oh God. Yeah, what is it? Reach me at Jack at 04259612 or what I don't know what it is.
Jack,
All right, guys. It
Jack
is.
at peekaboo.com. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Take
coming.
care.
Thanks, John. And we will talk to everybody later. Peace.
See you guys.